ladies and gentlemen of the internet, and welcome back to the Forgotten City. Let's finally finish this game up. Maybe. I personally think there might be 2 endings left. It says 4. It says this will be the 4th one, but I'm not certain on that. Are there any other... Okay, I've already done that one. Okay, as far as I'm aware, this is the last mission.
Salve, friend. Mind telling me who you are and what you're doing with that bow on your back?
I'm William, and I need you to take care of some things urgently.
Oh, sounds serious. I'm listening.
Yulia is dying, but Lucretia can't help her without this silphium. Take some of it to her and go, quickly.
Yulia? Oh no. Alright, I can do that.
Rufius has been threatening Virgil, but if you give him some of this willow bark, it will treat his rheumatism, and he'll settle down.
Poor Virgil. Poor Rufius too, I guess. Alright, got it.
I need you to stop Fabia from entering the empty shrine. Until the new arrival, he'll find what he's looking for in there.
Alright, let me see. Stop Fabia going in, but send the new arrival to the empty shrine. Understood.
Tell Malleolus you know his real name is Quictius, thanks to Claudia, and that Nero sends his regards. Then tell him to withdraw from the election and release his debt bondsman.
What? Are you... You're serious, aren't you? I doubt Domitius will let me talk to him, but I'll make sure he passes on the message.
That's it. Now go, as fast as you can.
I'll go, but once I'm done, I'll need you to tell me how you know all of this.
I know I've already read that in previous streams, but since this should be the finale, I figured it's appropriate to read every line I have. And to...
Don't believe a word they tell you.
Shut up, Elpius, you're fine. My nose is a little stopped up, making it a little hard to talk. But I'll make it through. This shouldn't be too long of a stream, but we'll see. Insert plaque. Insert plaque. Egyptian. This must be the Sumerian one. I imagine this is the Greek one. And this is the Roman one. Quick save. What does my character look like? Oh, I don't have a character. Hades, Lord of Many. Nergal, the Fierce One. Osiris, Lord of Silence. And Pluto, Father of Riches. Pluto, Father of Riches, grant me an audience. Hades, Lord of Many, grant me an audience. Wait. Oh. Wait. So this is I don't know. I don't know what architecture that is. This looks Greek. This is Egyptian Osiris. Osiris, Lord of Silence, grant me an audience. I'm going to restart this. This looks Roman. Or possibly Sumerian. Nergal, the fierce one. This is Sumerian. Nergal, the fierce one, grant me an audience. History is not my, wait, what? What? No. You don't just pull this on me. What? What the hell? What? Uh, uh, uh,
And here you are. Allow me to introduce myself. As you have already gathered, I've been known by many names. Nergal to the Sumerians, Osiris to the Egyptians, Hades to the Greeks, and Pluto to the Romans. But the one constant through it all has been my title, God of the Underworld. And I've been watching you with curiosity, mortal, ever since your arrival. You are unlike the others, aren't you? And what is more, you carry a weapon that was never intended for mortals to wield, and you do it so brazenly. But there will be time for your reckoning later. First, as a reward for undoing the desecration of my obelisk, I will allow you to satisfy your curiosity. Ask what you will.
what is your story?
My story is many thousands of years long. You will need to be more specific. What do you wish to know?
You're a god?
It is a matter of perspective. God is a label I was given by you mortals, not one I gave myself. Your ancestors revered me because to them, my knowledge and technology made me incomprehensibly powerful, just as you might seem so to an insect. But despite all that, there are rules even I must obey.
Why do you look and sound like a man?
My kin and I all adopted this form long ago, so that we might better understand and communicate with your kind. In time, we grew fond of the sensory delights it affords: desire, joy, ecstasy, even rage and sorrow, while an acquired taste can be addictive.
May I see your true form?
No. Long ago I swore to Persephone that I would remain in this form for as long as we remained among your kind. I must honor that.
Who is the woman on your left?
This is my beloved. Like me, she has been known by many names. Ereshkigal to the Sumerians, Isis to the Egyptians, Persephone to the Greeks, and Proserpina to the Romans. Or perhaps you might know her as the goddess of springtime, the cycle of life and renewal. Your gaze lingers too long.
And who is that on your right?
That is my servant. You would have met by the river, though she wears many faces and goes by many names. Kumutubal to the Sumerians, Kirti to the Egyptians, Charon to the Greeks, and Charon to the Romans. Her role is to ferry souls between the mortal world and this one, and to make their transition as seamless as possible. For that, she earned herself the infamous, if erroneous, moniker, the Ferryman. You will talk more later. For now, ask your questions.
Let's talk about something else.
As you wish.
What is this place? Please, I am dying to know.
It has come to be known simply as the underworld, and it exists because of a wager I made long ago.
What was the wager you made?
That is a long story, one that began over 3,000 years ago and continues to this day. You see, long ago my kin and I set out from our home on Elysium to search for other forms of life among the stars. We discovered your planet and witnessed your kind evolving from primates into something lawless and barbaric. You all but destroyed yourselves, your 2 short lives being extinguished by violence and ignorance and disease. Yet Proserpina saw raw potential in you, and persuaded the rest of us it would be squandered without our intervention and stewardship. So we revealed ourselves to your people in a place called Sumer. We offered guidance in agriculture, toolcraft, and law, and you called us gods. For a time you flourished, but soon you were too many for us to oversee. And as you spread from that cradle of civilization, we saw something disturbing. We had sown the seeds of dependency and confusion, and soon you returned to your old ways of violence and ignorance, this time in our name. My kin had seen enough, and gave up on your kind, condemning you as barbaric and chaotic, scarcely more than animals. We began preparations to return to Elysium, our home world, a utopia unspoilt by conflict and unimaginable in its beauty. But my Proserpina could not bear to abandon your kind without guidance, and knowing it would force the rest of us to leave her behind, she made an extraordinary sacrifice. She gave up her immortality to descend permanently to the ranks of humankind. And so she began her inescapable trajectory toward death. Horrified, I acted swiftly. I placed her in suspended animation in a deep frozen sleep to prevent age and sickness from claiming her. And then I pleaded with Proserpina's father, who the Romans called Jupiter, to bring her with us to Elysium. It was and is my hope that once there, we might one day learn to undo what she has done to herself. But he refused. I did everything I could to persuade him, but he would not relent. He would rigidly uphold his final pronouncement. Humans were unworthy of ascension to Elysium, and no exceptions would be made. But seeing that I was aggrieved, he proposed a wager, the terms of which were as follows. If even one human city could prove itself capable of living without sin for a single year, then Proserpina and all of humanity would be permitted to join us in Elysium. My part would be to remain behind, the last of my kind, to watch over you, without interfering, and to sit in silent judgment. And so my reward has been to languish here, enduring a 3,000-year winter, waiting for the day your kind proves itself worthy of her faith in you, so that I might take her with me to Elysium and unthaw my goddess of springtime. And here I am, after all this time, still waiting.
Who are your kin?
There were also gods who, like me, have been known by many names, but perhaps you knew them by their Roman names. Our leader, Jupiter, as well as Neptune, Saturn, Juno, Minerva, Mars, Venus, Apollo, Diana, Vulcan, Vesta, Ceres, and of course, my beloved Proserpina.
Who built the city?
As the first wave of your kind arrived from Sumer, I had them build a city in their own fashion, so that they might be comfortable and recreate their lives here. I had them build the entrance as a vertical shaft leading to baths, to cleanse them of the sins of their former lives, and to prevent escape. I watched wave after wave of Sumerians arrive, and as their civilization declined over the centuries, they were replaced by Egyptians. Of course, believing themselves to be the superior civilization, the Egyptians promptly built over what had been built before, and made all the same mistakes. After another 1,000 years, the Greeks began to arrive, and then the Romans, and they all did the same thing. They built upon the underworlds of their predecessors, renamed their gods, and ensured their foundations were forgotten.
How did you decide who comes here?
To ensure the wager was fair, it was important that my subjects were chosen at random. To this end, I had my servant distribute 1,000 tokens fashioned from silver, a rare element at the time, across all of Sumer. Whoever died while in possession of one of them would be located by my servant and ferried to this place, with no memory of how they arrived. As the tokens were discovered, they were traded, smelted, and fashioned into trinkets, and eventually coins, spreading to Egypt like seeds on the wind. Later, when they spread to Greece, they would come to be known as Charon's Obol, or as coins for the ferrymen. Some placed coins in the mouths of their dead, hoping they would awaken here, though they had no way of knowing which coins were fashioned from the original tokens. In fact, almost all of the tokens are accounted for, only 2 remain. And so after this wave destroys itself, as it is destined to do, your kind will have squandered the last of its potential to ascend beyond this rock, and Persepolis along with it.
How did humans learn about the underworld?
It is a regrettable story. One of the first men who came to this place was a king of Sumer, and a troublemaker. To be rid of him, I returned him to his people, on the condition that my servant erased his memories of this place. But the erasure did not take completely, and he told stories of this place as if describing memories of a dream. His tales were committed to writing, which came to be known as the Epic of Gilgamesh, and his words were twisted and distorted over generations. Later, the Egyptians would adapt Sumer's stories of the underworld, making them wildly intricate and labyrinthine. Their Book of the Dead and Book of Gates bore less and less resemblance to this place, in their priests' pursuit of profit. Then, when the Greeks began to arrive, they proved far more cunning, and in a series of incidents that will not be repeated, 5 of them escaped. A warrior named Heracles, 2 kings named Sisyphus and Theseus, a poet named Orpheus, and a Trojan named Aeneas. They each told embellished tales of this place, how to get here, and how to escape. And so from Sumer to Egypt, Greece to Rome, your kind has always told each other stories about this place, though each story contained only a seed of truth.
So in this world, Heracles is real. Let's talk about something else.
Of course.
Are you responsible for the Golden Rule?
That is merely the name your people have given to it, but yes, it is my doing.
Why turn people into gold?
That is a story dating back to the very first wave. After the Sumerians finished building their city, the self-declared ruler threw a banquet to celebrate. Now this man was unmarried, and many women were vying to become his wife, a prestigious position of power and influence in a new world. Of all the women, 2 were particularly ambitious. Both were beautiful, and both arrived at the banquet wearing eye-catching dresses and painted faces, their hair woven in elaborate fashion. The first woman, recognizing that she would require an advantage to win the ruler's affection, draped herself in jewelry, ornate necklaces, bracelets, and rings fashioned from gold. Seeing this ostentatious display, the second woman grew envious, for she had no such jewelry at her disposal. She prayed aloud to any gods that would listen to cover her in gold, and when her prayer went unanswered, she took matters into her own hands. While the others indulged at the banquet, the second woman summoned the first for a discussion in a quiet place. She checked that nobody was watching, and pushed her rival from the top of the ziggurat, where she broke her neck on I was watching, and I decided to answer her prayer. I took the golden bow left behind by Diana, and I shot that woman in the heart, covering her from head to toe in a layer of molten gold. And I left her to stand there, that she might serve as a grim reminder of what befalls those who sin in my domain. But that was not enough, for the entire city was tainted by her sin, and the wager could no longer be won. So I had no choice but to wipe the slate clean. I gilded them all, to make way for a new wave, and began the wager again. And to this day, each of them, and all who came after, line the halls of this city, inanimate but conscious, suspended in time with only their sight and hearing preserved, so they may bear witness to and lament the folly of your kind for eternity, as silent golden sentinels.
So you're responsible for destroying all these lives.
I give your kind a second chance at life, as well as ample warning about my law. And when you disobey, and you always disobey, you force my hand, bringing terrible suffering upon yourselves. And so you ask if I am the one destroying your lives. And I say, no, you destroy yourselves. I am merely the means by which you do it.
Where did these golden bows come from?
When my kin departed, they left behind many relics which I inherited. Consolation prize of sorts. The golden bow originally belonged to one of my kin, who the Romans called Diana. As my collection of golden statues grew, I chose the most ferocious among them, and equipped them each with a duplicate of her bow, and tasked them with hunting down the Forsaken at my behest. They became known simply as Furies.
What do you consider sin?
I've always considered that the cornerstone of morality is the ability to determine right from wrong on one's own. No attempt to lay out rules like your Code of Hammurabi or your 12 Tables of the Roman Republic can ever cover all possible scenarios. This should come as no surprise to you, since the core principle has been expressed in many forms by many of your civilizations. The Egyptians made a rudimentary attempt with do to the doer to make him do. The Greeks refined it with avoid doing what you would blame others for doing. The Roman Stoics added, treat your inferior as you would wish your superior to treat you. Even the so-called cultists hiding among you often say, do unto others as you would have them do unto you. It is the simplest of concepts, and each one of you is born with the faculties required to apply it to any situation. Yet none of the peoples who expressed this rule were able to uphold it. Curious, is it not?
I don't know what to say. That principle is not as easy to apply as it sounds.
For you, perhaps. Nope, this should the Egypt, the Greek, the Roman, even it is.
It doesn't seem like you've been upholding it either.
Enough. You clearly know nothing.
How do you know when people sin?
I'm able to commune with all of the statues in the city. Their ears are my ears, and their eyes are my eyes.
Is Proserpina connected to the statues in the same way?
If she was still conscious, I suppose she could, but she's not. Why do you ask?
No reason.
Then what an odd question.
Just curiosity. I've seen some terrible things here that you didn't consider a sin. How could you let them happen?
Do you plan to speak in sweeping generalizations, or are you going to give me an example?
Abduction.
Abduction? You mean the magistrate imprisoning his daughter in the cistern, I take it? He did so because she sought to escape. A sin I take particularly seriously. Better that he stops her from escaping, albeit brutishly, than I have to wipe out this entire city to punish her. Wouldn't you agree?
Fair enough.
Now tell me, what other sins do you believe I have overlooked?
Price gouging for life-saving medicine.
The merchant. How is that inconsistent with the rule I've outlined?
He wouldn't want someone else to demand an outrageous price for the medicine he needed if he was dying.
I disagree. Having watched this merchant, that is precisely what he would expect from others, and he would be quite capable of paying the price anyway.
You can't know what he would expect. You're just speculating.
Applying this rule always requires speculation to some degree. It requires us to ask what another person would want if they found themselves in another situation.
Doesn't that make it inherently subjective and unreliable?
Not if we're wise enough to know the mind of man.
And you think you know the minds of other people?
Supposing you're right, then my law has been broken, and I should turn you all to gold immediately. Is that what you want?
No, of course not. Never mind.
Now tell me, what other sins do you believe I have overlooked?
Debt bondage.
You speak of the moneylender. How is that inconsistent with the rule?
He wouldn't want to be trapped in a 30-year labor contract because of a loan.
And he would never have signed a contract pledging his labor for 30 years. All he did was enforce the terms of a contract signed voluntarily by others.
The whole concept of debt bondage, like slavery, is unethical. It's illegal under international law where I'm from.
Ignoring your irritating sense of moral superiority. This is interesting. I'm curious, how do people escape poverty where you're from?
It's customary to take out a loan to buy a house, and in some places, to pay for an education.
I see. And how long might it take such a person to repay their debt?
It depends. Typically decades, sometimes their entire life. Also, they missed an eye in life.
I fail to see how your system of loans is significantly different to a debt bondsman signing over his labor for 30 years.
It's not the same thing.
Supposing you're right, then my lord... Now tell me.
A scam?
Ah, the tavern keeper, yes? How is that inconsistent with the rule?
She wouldn't want someone else to sell her hemlock if she thought she was buying a means of escape.
I disagree. Having watched that tavern keeper, that is precisely what she would expect from others. She would view it as a game, one she intends to win. Applying this rule all... Not if we're... Now tell me,
Experiments on the golden statues.
the midwife in the palace, yes? How is that inconsistent with the rule?
She wouldn't want to be experimented upon if she was gilded.
The rule is do unto others, meaning other people. Those statues are something else now. Bloodless shadows, mere shapes of their former selves. They are forsaken. What happens to them is no concern of mine.
That seems like an extremely literal interpretation of the rule.
Applying this rule always requires us to interpret the meaning of the words. The literal interpretation helps to minimize the ambiguities of your primitive language.
If our language is full of ambiguity, doesn't that make the rule inherently subjective and unreliable?
Suppose
I am right, and you know it.
then your desire to be right outweighs your desire to survive. You will make a fine statue.
Enough talk, I'm going to end this. I didn't get to ask my last question!
Do you really think you can wound me, a god?
Oh. Let's find out, shall we?
Pathetic. The many shall suffer for the sins of the one.
Okay, this is interesting. Ow. My booty hole. Oh, I just got shot twice. Ow. Continue from last save. I'll get to ask my last question at least. Oh. I'm still super.
Allow me, no go, but the and what that they will first. That is, I've this the road. It is yet. Enough. Do you plan?
Never mind.
Very.
Let's
very
talk about something else.
Of course.
That's all the questions I had.
Only, it seems, something is wrong. It has long been within my power to see into the hearts of mortals and weigh their deeds in life. But when I peer into you, I see only a blank slate, as if you did not exist until you appeared in this city. How is this possible? Charon, where did you find this one?
I do not remember ferrying you. How did you come here?
Maybe you're getting forgetful in your old age.
You would have us believe that my servant merely forgot bringing you here.
I arrive here in about 2,000 years.
If that is true, then I sense the intervention of someone powerful.
How did you come to be in this time, mortal? Who brought you here?
We cannot know.
I was hoping you could tell me.
I do not know. My kin departed long ago. Serpent has slumbered for 3,000 years.
Shouldn't you know this, as the god of the underworld?
Tread lightly, mortal. Enough of this. It seems I will need to put your reckoning on hold for now. But answer this. Why have you come here? What is it you seek?
I would like to put an end to the Golden Rule.
Your hubris is amusing, so I will allow you to make your case. But I warn you, if you anger me or waste my time with lies or wrong-headed arguments, you face death here. So, tell me, why should I put an end to the so-called Golden Rule?
How can you expect us to live without sin if you can't do it yourself?
That is a very serious accusation, mortal. What sin have I committed? What evidence do you have to support it?
You've trapped people in this city against their will. You've given terrible punishments to hundreds of people, some for minor sins, and some who committed no sins at all.
Every one of those people was guilty of failing to ensure their peers lived virtuously. They failed collectively, and so they were punished collectively. The Romans understand this, as did the Greeks before them.
Where I'm from, collective punishment is considered one of the most egregious crimes there is.
How unfortunate that we are not where you are from.
If our positions were reversed, you wouldn't want me to punish you for the sins of other people.
Ah, but I am a god, and you are a mortal. Why would you expect me to treat you as I treat my own kind? You are not a peer. You are not a respected equal. Let me ask you this. Do you treat insects as you wish to be treated? Do you care for their well-being as you would your fellow man? Do you ensure they have food and shelter and protection from predators? Do you give them rights?
No.
Of course not. Because that would be absurd, just as it would be absurd for me to treat your kind as equals.
Your kind and mine can't be so different, given that you're in love with one of us.
My love for her does not mean I am not superior, now that she is mortal.
That sounds arrogant. Perhaps you're not as different from humans as you think.
Bah! For a moment I thought you might have been building to a point. But I see now you are just a hubristic little creature.
Enough talk.
Do you really?
You may be immortal, but your beloved isn't.
How dare you threaten her? The many shall suffer for the sins of the one.
Ah, crap! Ah, this is annoying. I hate this. It's very hard to get out of here, and I need that crown. There's probably another way of getting through this. I refuse.
No, you vile, despicable creature.
This is a long hallway! Ah, not this way. Alright, so I have the crown of Proserpina.
Salve, friend. Mind telling me who you are and why you look like you've just taken on a gladiator and lost?
Run into the upper cistern.
What?
Come then, Pluto. Let's do one final dance.
Sal. All right. Well, it was lovely to meet you. I look forward to getting to know you better over the coming.
Shut up!
If you ever.
I can't believe this is how it ends.
Oh no, no. Oh, P.S. What?
That's the...
What?
What?
Please. You're like. Are you? I see.
I'm out. Wherever you are. Scintilla, my love.
Oh, P.S. No.
Okay, so just for the,
I'll have to let. And I.
Okay, so just because of all that, now I know what I should do. Oh, God. Hades, Lord of Many. No, Pluto, Father of Riches. Hades, Lord of Many. Wait, was that graffiti? No. Osiris, Lord of Silence. And Nurgle, the Fierce One. Come on, then. Let's finally get this properly done.
And here you are. Allow me to introduce myself. As you have already gathered, I've been known by many names. No go, but the one, and what is that there will be first.
See this? It's Proserpina's crown. Ah. Nose got stopped up. See this? It's Proserpina's crown.
I would recognize that anywhere. And yet my beloved still wears hers. What is this? How did you come by it?
I took it from her after I killed her in another timeline.
You vile, despicable creature.
I didn't want to kill her, but if you don't put an end to the Golden Rule, I will do it again.
You have put me in an impossible position. If I refuse, you will murder her. And yet, if I agree, I will lose my wager and return to Elysium, humiliated and alone.
Well, what's it going to be?
I do not see that I have a choice in this. Your treachery and savagery have opened my eyes like nothing I have witnessed in 3,000 years. And now you have shown me your species' true colors. And I see that Proserpina was a fool to have ever believed in you at all. This has gone on too long. It is time for me to let go of this form, of her, of all of you. But know this, if I abandon the wager and leave for Elysium, neither she nor your kind may ever ascend.
We just want to return to the world.
Very well. I will have Charon make arrangements to ferry the others. But as for you, be aware you will be separated from the rest.
Why?
Once this exodus begins, the events that brought you to this moment will never have taken place, and you will have created a paradox. What will become of you is difficult to predict, but that is the risk you have taken by interfering in the natural flow of time. Now, are you ready?
I'm ready.
You had best pray our paths never cross again, mortal.
I need more of this world. There is so many stories you could tell with these gods.
Oh. Hi there. Gave me a bit of a fright. Thought I was in here alone. I'm Al.
Alworth, I came in here to find you.
Well, here I am. I'm sorry, I didn't catch your name.
I'm William.
Oh, did that lady in the forest send you in here after me? I guess I lost track of time, learning about the history of this place, and it is extraordinary. I'm fairly certain you and I are the first people to set foot in this city for about 2,000 years. Fortunately for us, the last person in here was a Roman man named Galerius, who inscribed an account into a tablet. Apparently, there was a community of 20-something people trapped in here, and living in fear of a curse they called the Golden Rule. They believed that if even one person sinned, an unknown god would cast them all into gold, like the 1,000 people who'd lived here before them. Then, one day, just as Galerius had finished praying for a good harvest at the shrine of Proserpina, an oracle appeared and told him how to solve the ills of the city, and so on. Meanwhile, the oracle walked up to the temple of the mysterious god, this one right here, and demanded an audience. And the doors just opened up to him. Nobody knows what went on in there, but Galerius wrote the oracle must have been more persuasive than Odysseus, because the next thing he knew, the ground shook and the voice of that god rang out over the city. The many have suffered long enough. Unfortunately, Galerius' account just sort of stops after that, leaving a lot of questions unanswered. What became of him and the other people who lived here? What happened to all the golden statues? And did this mysterious oracle single-handedly undo the curse that had terrorized people for hundreds of years?
Actually, that was me.
What? Oh, I see. For a moment there, I thought you were serious. Anyway, I think I found a way out through the aqueduct that brought water into the city. Follow me.
I'm right behind you. Okay, there is at least one more ending I want to see. I sent him to gather up all the people. I want to do it again and see what happens when all the people, when I, fix all the problems properly. Because I thought he was going to kill them all. Good idea. Ah! It made me turn around.
You're back. But
I found him.
why don't you tell me?
I discovered your real name is Charon. Or was it Curdy?
Ah, I see. I thought you might. Well, now you know. I suppose you have questions.
Who are you really?
You can just call me Charon, if you like. I am sorry I was not completely honest with you when we first met. I do not enjoy deceiving people. Believe me, I do not. But I have learned, from 5,000 years of experience, that most people find comfort in familiarity, in gradual change, and coming to see the truth in their own time.
What truth is that?
That you died, of course. My rule. You can. I do not. That my.
It just puts you in a loop.
Most ask your. As he that you were each. Perhaps well. A long time. My orders were simple. That is a question you would have to ask him, if that were still possible. In light of the path you have chosen, I am just his. Only now, there is no. I see no point in keeping you here. But I have to ask one thing. That you keep this to yourself.
Look, here comes Al now. Al, it's so good to see you. You were gone so long I thought I'd never see you again.
Kinda lost track of time in there. You wouldn't believe what we found. The ruins of a long-forgotten city. And there was a tablet describing an oracle who confronted a god and undid an ancient curse.
Sounds like quite a story. And I look forward to hearing all about it. But you two look exhausted. Why don't...
Sounds good to me.
And you?
Okay, so there's 4 base endings, and they have smaller variations. Oh, what? Museum?
Hey, you made it. It's great to see you again. I read your book, and what the critics said about it. I guess they weren't ready for your theories about the underworld. Anyway, after everything you've been through, I thought you might appreciate some good news. So after we got back to the real world, I started doing some research into the people mentioned in Galerius' tablet. And I found something strange. I'm sorry I've been so cryptic. I've been dying to tell you, I just really wanted you to see this for yourself. Why don't you head on down there? I'll catch up with you at the other end.
I'm going to assume that the ones that survived are... What?
You're finally here. Remember me?
Galerius? What are you doing here?
It's a crazy story. After you disappeared, Charon appeared and told us she was returning us to the world. Even gave us some coins to help us start our lives over. Only, for some reason, she returned us to your world instead of ours. Anyway, I know we only ever had that one conversation, and I wasn't even sure if you'd remember me, but I wanted to say thanks for freeing us from the underworld and giving us a second chance at life.
What are you doing with yourself these days?
Oh, I used Charon's gift to buy a farm in Umbria. Got a villa on it too, with enough room for Dooley, of course. It's hard work, but I sleep soundly every night. I'm finally my own man, and I wouldn't change it for the world.
You're with Equitia now.
I know! I can't believe my luck either. But we're engaged and living together. We're planning to get married next spring. If you're gonna be around, we'd love to see you there.
I'd love that. Count me in. It was good to see you again, Galerius.
Of course.
I'm actually getting...
museum full of people waiting for a chance to thank you. So you better keep moving. We'll speak again soon, my friend.
I am getting emotional.
Oh, hello.
It's you.
A relief depicting Great Circular Portal. Equitia.
You're here. It's lovely to finally meet you. Galerius told me all about you.
Good to see you too, Equitia.
So, you're the hero who somehow vanquished the last of the Roman gods. As I'm a priestess, you realize you've put me out of work. I'm just teasing. Actually, and it still feels a little sacrilegious to say this, I'm finding life after religion quite enjoyable.
What are you doing with yourself these days?
Galerius and I are engaged and expecting. We've just bought a lovely villa in the countryside with room for a large family, and Dooley too, of course. It feels like the world has just opened up for us. There's so much to learn, and so many more possibilities for our children than we ever imagined. We're just so thankful for what you did for us. For all of us.
It was good to see you. I need to check.
Hey.
Horatius, Sentia, Lucretia, Georgius, the Hermit, Octavia,
Good evening.
Olivia,
Some soiree, innit?
Decius, why? He hurts. He hurts. Kabash, Scintilla, Virgil, okay, yeah, I'm going to have to,
I am Proserpina. I wanted... And you... Good. Because they remember you. Well done, my friend. Of all the heroes who ever journeyed to the underworld in return, none
let me skip.
Hercules, Orpheus, Theseus...
I want to do it proper. I want to skip. I want to skip. I want to skip. I gotta do it proper. I know how to do it now. I gotta do it. Let me do it. Ah! Yeah. Continue as William. This is going to load me right before, yeah. I still have the crown. I need to set off the golden rule and,
Don't shoot. I'm no threat.
all right.
The many shall suffer for the sins of the one.
Yoink. I don't really need those at this point. I'm pretty much done with everything, but I'm taking them just in case. Come on. Come on, old man.
Come and give me another day in the sun.
Yeet. Okay, I'm going to make,
Salve, friend. Mind telling me...
I'm William, and I need you to take care of some things urgently.
Oh. You... Alright. I'll go.
There's probably... I imagine there might be another thing or two that you can do, but that's all I've ever found. And I don't have any more quests or anything, so... I don't know why I'm running down here. I need to go up. Loading in the new area. Pluto. Hades. Cyrus. And Nurgle.
And here you are. Allow me to introduce myself. No, but the one, and what it that they will first.
I'm going to Google something real quick. See this? It's Proserpina's crown. I took it from her. I didn't want to kill her.
You, if I
That's the idea.
I do not see, and now this is gone. But know that
We just want to return to the world.
I will.
Why?
Once this exodus begins, what will become of you is difficult. Now,
Let's get this over with.
we best pray our paths never cross again, mortal.
Oh. Hi there. Gave me a bit of a fright. Thought I was in here alone. I'm Al.
Alworth, I came in here to find you.
Well, here I am. I'm sorry, I didn't catch your name.
I'm William. I was hoping you'd know who I am.
Know who you are? I barely remember how I got here myself. Oh, did that lady in the forest send you in here after me? I guess I lost track of time, learning about the history of this place, and it is extraordinary. I'm fairly certain you and I are the first people to set foot in this city for about 2,000 years. Fortunately for us, the last person in here was a Roman man named Galerius, who inscribed an account into a tablet. Apparently, there was a community of 20-something people trapped in here, and living in fear of a curse they called the Golden Rule. They believed that if even one person sinned, an unknown god would cast them all into gold, like the 1,000 people who'd lived here before them. Then, one day, just as Galerius had finished praying for a good harvest at the shrine of Proserpina, an oracle appeared and told him how to solve the ills of the city, like saving the life of a dying woman, foiling an assassination attempt, and so on. Meanwhile, the oracle walked up to the temple of the mysterious god, this one right here, and demanded an audience. And the doors just opened up to him. Nobody knows what went on in there, but Galerius wrote the oracle must have been more persuasive than Odysseus, because the next thing he knew, the ground shook, and the voice of that god rang out over the city. The many have suffered long enough. Unfortunately, Galerius' account just sort of stops after that, leaving a lot of questions unanswered. What became of him, and the other people who lived here? What happened to all the golden statues? And did this mysterious oracle single-handedly undo the curse?
These Romans are crazy.
I don't know, it reads like an earnest account to me. Anyway, I think I found a way out through the aqueduct that brought...
I'm right behind you. Alright, last time talking to good old Curdy.
You go on ahead.
You're back. But you're alone.
I found him. He'll be here in a moment.
Ah, I see. I thought you might. Well, now you know. I suppose you have questions.
Who are you really?
You can just call me Carol. I do not. That most.
What truth is that?
My.
Who are
you? Can just. That my.
I suppose not.
Wise decision. All you need to know is that you and Al died in possession of a sacred silver coin. Perhaps, well, along that is I am only there is I see no point in keeping you here. But I have to ask one thing. That you keep this to yourself.
Look! Here comes Al now. Al! It's so good to see you. You were gone so long I thought I'd never see you again.
Kinda lost track of time in there. You wouldn't believe, and there was a tablet described.
Sounds like quite a story. You two look exhausted.
Sounds good to me.
And you?
Alright, let's go to the actual thing with all the people. 1 year later. Al!
Hey, you made it. It's great to see you again. I read your book, and what the critics said about it. I guess they weren't ready for your theories about the underworld. Anyway, after everything you've been through, I thought you might appreciate some good news. So after we got back to the real world, I started doing some research into the people mentioned in Galerius' tablet, and I found something strange. I'm sorry I've been so cryptic. I've been dying to tell you, really wanted you to see this for yourself. Why don't you head on down there? I'll catch up with you at the other end.
Hilarious!
It's great. Even anyway, I want. Oh,
Just I'd love that. Good to see you again,
Of
Galerius.
Oh, hello.
You're here. It's lovely to finally meet you. Galerius told me all about you.
Good to see you too, Equitia.
So, you're the hero who somehow vanquished the last of the Roman gods. As I'm a priestess, you realize you've put me out of work. I'm just teasing. Actually, and it still feels a little sacrilegious to say this, I'm finding life after religion quite enjoyable.
What are you doing these days?
Galerius, it feels like the world has we're just so...
Wait.
Galerius and I are engaged and expecting. We've just bought a lovely villa in the countryside with room for a large family, and Dooley too, of course. It feels like the world has just opened up for us. There's so much to learn, and so many more possibilities for our children than we ever imagined. We're just so thankful for what you did for us. For all of us.
How's Livia?
Oh, it's sweet of you to ask. She recovered nicely. In fact, she's here somewhere, if you'd like to ask her yourself.
I'll do that. It was good to see you again.
At the wedding, I hope.
Dooley!
Hello. I'm Dooley.
I remember who you are, Dooley.
Galerius said you're very nice and a big helper. Thank you for getting us out of the bad place. I didn't like it.
What are you doing with yourself these days?
I live at Galerius and Equitia's house. They look after me now and help me remember when I forget things, like brushing my teeth.
I'm sorry you never found your treasure.
Treasure? Oh, I forgot about that. I like my box now. Galerius got me a box that tells stories. It's my favourite thing.
I'm glad you're happy. It was...
Treasure?
Story boxes are great, aren't they?
Yeah, they're fun.
It was good to see you again, Dooley.
Bye-bye.
Can I find that treasure? Yulia.
You're the Oracle, right?
William is fine.
Oh, of course, sorry. And I never got a chance to thank you for telling Galerius how to save my life. And of course, getting me and all of us out of a terrible situation.
What are you doing with yourself these days?
Oh, I barely recognize myself. I'm living in a house share in London with my wonderful girlfriend. And I'm studying English at university. Eventually, I want to travel the world and write about it. Turns out, it's about 30 times bigger than the Roman Empire ever was. Did you know there are entire continents Rome never knew existed? And you can travel almost anywhere in an aircraft, which is rather like flying on a Pegasus, but much more comfortable. Oh, sorry, you already know all that, of course. I'm just so excited. There's so much to see and learn and write about.
Seeing the world through fresh eyes sounds wonderful.
I have noticed people from your time have no idea how fortunate they are. I hope to change that. One day.
Whatever happened to Malleolus and Claudia?
Last I heard, Malleolus kept insisting he was the last rightful ruler of the Roman Empire, and wound up being committed to a psychiatric hospital. As for Claudia, she was always so viciously unhappy. Someone said she'd blown all her money on wine, trying to drink herself back to the underworld. After the horrific way they treated Ulpius and me, I can't help feeling a sense of... what's that German word? Schadenfreude?
I think you're allowed to feel that way.
Thank you. You're very kind.
Whatever happened to Aurelia?
Ugh. Someone told me she was boasting about getting her claws into some rich prince, and how she was going to be living the high life from now on. Even in your time, life still isn't fair. Apparently, he'd proposed before they'd even met. And last I heard, she'd bought herself a first-class one-way ticket to join him in some exotic place called... what was it? Nigeria? Some people have all the luck.
As the Oracle, I foresee terrible disappointment in her future.
Really? Huh. I feel better already. Thank you.
It was good to see you again, Yulia.
You too. If you're ever in London, let me know. We can go to bars and drink wine and listen to the stories of the 9 million people who live there.
I'll take you up on that.
I hope so.
Oh, this is so heart-feeling. I love it. Oh, my feelings. Lucretia.
You are here. It's nice to finally meet you.
Hey, Lucretia.
Lucy is fine. I'm making an effort to blend in, as you can see. We are all trying to keep a low profile. If the world knew we died 2,000 years ago and were suddenly brought back to life 12 months ago, they'd never leave us alone. Speaking of which, I wanted to say thank you in person. I'd say the gods smile on you, but I hear you drove the last of them off. So...
what are you doing with yourself these days?
I'm studying to get into medical school. As much as I resented the responsibility of keeping everyone in the city alive, when it ended, I realized I missed it. So I guess I'll just keep saving the world, if begrudgingly, one patient at a time.
It was good to see you, Lucy.
You too. Don't be a stranger.
Hey.
Horatius.
Hi there, I'm Horatius.
Hi, Horatius.
I understand we have you to thank for giving us a second chance at life, and reuniting Centilla with us as well. So, thank you.
What are you doing with yourselves these days?
I'm living up north and studying in the military academy in Modena. I'm going to be an officer one day. The world's changed a lot, but some things stay the same. Would you believe we're still studying military tactics from my time? Alexander the Great, Caesar, Hannibal Barca. Still, I have to keep challenging myself to let go of old ways of thinking and embrace the new. As Seneca wrote, the ones who pioneered our paths aren't our masters, but our guides.
I'm sorry you never got to see your girl again.
Ah, you remembered that. Thank you. I grieved for a time, but that's done. In the words of Epictetus, as those who rode behind triumphant generals remind them they are mortal, remind yourself your precious one isn't one of your possessions, but something given for now, not forever.
Well said.
Thanks.
Whatever happened to your buddy Domitius?
He's not my... Oh, I see what you did there. Good one. He had more trouble adapting than most. He got himself disqualified from the UFC, so he started some kind of underground blood sport tournament, like we had in Rome. Suppose it appealed to people's baser instincts. And they say he made some good coin, killing a bunch of men like that. But his luck finally ran out, and his life along with it. You know what they say. Live by the sword, die by the sword.
Sounds like he got what he deserved.
You're not wrong.
It was good to see you again, Horatius.
And you. Farewell.
Cynthia!
I take it you're the Oracle. Thanks for coming.
Good to see you again, Cynthia.
Actually, I changed my name to Cynthia. I didn't want to be associated with Sentius after what happened. I'm not sure if you heard, but after you drove Pluto off, Proserpina emerged from the Great Temple. She knew right away what none of us had figured out about that psychopath. He'd been keeping my little sister locked up in the upper cistern all that time. But he's been dealt with. You know what? The important thing is, we'll never see him again.
What are you doing with yourself these days? What happened to Sentius?
He's still there, all alone. The last golden statue in the underworld. Trapped in a metal shell, slowly losing his mind until the end of time. Eternal torment. Just what he deserves, if you ask me.
He did once tell me he wanted to live forever.
Then I suppose he got his wish.
What are you doing with yourself these days?
Anything I want. I'm a woman of means in a vast new world. I can go wherever and do whatever I please. Of course, I mostly just stay in my villa and have my servant Alexa summon things for me, because it's just awful out there. Barbarians everywhere.
It was good to see you again, Cynthia.
You too. See you around.
Oh, my heart!
Hello.
Fabia and Georgius!
Greetings. You must be the legendary Oracle. It is a sincere privilege to finally make your acquaintance. I am Georgius.
Good to see you too, Georgius.
I am told we have you to thank for freeing us from Hades, and for that, I am most grateful.
What are you doing with yourself these days?
I am reacquainting myself with Greece. It has changed so much over the last 2000 years, I barely recognize it. This is at once heartbreaking and thrilling. Perhaps one day, once I have seen all of this new Greece and sampled her delights, I will settle down in Santorini in a villa overlooking the Azure Aegean Sea. I hope you will join me there and regale me with the story of how you faced off against the fearsome god of the underworld and won.
Consider me there. It was good to see you again, Georgius.
You too, my friend.
I like him. Fabia.
You're the one we've been waiting for. I'm Fabia.
Hi, Fabia.
I wanted to say thanks for sending Galerius to save my life. I don't know how you knew, but I would have been crushed by that shrine for sure.
You're welcome.
I'm just so happy to be here with you and everyone together again, even if it's just for one more night.
What are you doing with yourself these days? Yeah, brain tongue tied.
Well, it's not like I have to work with all the silver Charon gave me, so I just do what makes me happy. Mostly that means baking for my friends and looking at memes while binging TV shows in yoga pants. What a time to be alive.
I'm glad you're happy. That sounds like a life.
Thank you. I really am.
It was good to see you again, Fabia.
You too.
Hermit!
I take it you're the Oracle everybody's talking about. It's a pleasure to finally meet you.
We've met before, though I wouldn't expect you to remember it.
We have? I'm sorry, I don't remember. In any case, I'm Philip. I never thought I'd leave that cave, let alone the city. And now I'm living in the 21st century. What a time to be alive. And it seems I have your Catabasis to thank for it.
What are you doing with yourself these days?
I'm working as a consultant to the Faculty of Classics at Cambridge University, helping fill the odd gap in their knowledge. Not that I need the money, but I do love being around enlightened minds again.
It was good to see you again.
My sincere thanks once again.
Octavia.
Oh, hello. It's lovely to meet you. I've heard so much about you.
Nice to see you too, Octavia.
I'm thankful that you're here. I was sure the person who drove off the last pagan god would have more important things to do than visit the likes of us. But thank you for coming and for saving our lives. What you did was extraordinary, and I'll never forget it.
What are you doing with yourself these days?
I'm living in Rome again, in a charming little flat by the Tiber. Not far from my old place. Oh, and I'm training to be a crisis counselor. After you sent Galerius to persuade Ulpius not to take his own life, I was inspired. I just want to spend the rest of my life helping people, like you helped him.
Sounds like a noble cause. Good on you.
Thank you. That means a lot.
It was good to see you again, Octavia.
And you. Oh, and I hope this isn't too forward, but some of us are going out for a drink after this, if you'd like to join us.
Sounds good. I'm in.
Wonderful. I'll see you soon.
Good evening.
Livia!
Greetings.
Good to see you looking well, Livia.
Thank you for your kind words and for liberating us all. In all the time I was in the underworld, I never once imagined that I might end up in a place so much like Elysium.
What are you doing with yourselves these days?
I'm recovering. Octavia was kind enough to let me stay with her for a while. At least until I'm well enough to be independent again.
Read any good poems lately?
Ah, you remember that. I'm a little tired of Ovid, but that's all right. I have 2,000 years worth of poetry to catch up on now. I'm already up to the 19th century, and am quite enjoying the work of a fellow named Poe. I think I may have found a kindred spirit. Men have called me mad, but the question is not yet settled whether madness is or is not the loftiest intelligence.
Well said. It was good to see you again, Livia.
And you. Farewell, friend.
Edgar Allan Poe.
Some soiree, innit?
Decius.
Oh, hello at last. You must be the oracle I've heard so much about. I'm Decius.
Hello, Decius.
Listen, I wanted to express my sincere appreciation for what you did. If it wasn't for you, I'd never been able to sell all those useless old relics I accumulated. Whatever you did in that temple made me a very wealthy man. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Most gracious of you.
What are you doing with yourself these days?
I took the money I made from selling my trinkets and started investing in the stock market. That's where the real money is now. In fact, I was hoping to ask your advice, you being the oracle and future seer and all that, on which stocks I should invest in next. I can't decide between fossil fuels, tobacco, gambling and arms. What would you recommend?
I can't really see the future, I'm afraid.
Oh, don't be like that. You can tell your old pal Decius. I won't take no for an answer.
Why do I have to lie to him? I don't want to lie. Broadcast television is going to be the next big thing.
Oh, of course, yeah. I was just thinking the same thing. I'll go home and buy up as much stock as I can tonight. I'm going to make a bloody fortune. Of course.
I'll be going now.
Thanks again for the tips, my friend.
Kabash.
It is an honor to finally meet you, Oracle.
Thanks, Kabash.
You know my name? Oh, of course. You are an oracle. You know many things. I too would like to offer my thanks for releasing us from that place, and for your role in bringing us here. This world is truly wondrous.
What are you doing with yourself these days?
For a time, I returned to Alexandria, but they have no need of another fisherman, and I came to see there is nothing for me there. Instead, I have decided to follow the custom of your youths and backpack the world. It is a great adventure, and I have met many people from many cultures. I spent the first 25 years of my life avoiding the 42 sins that would deny me access to the afterlife. Now, I think it is time I had some fun.
Sounds like you've earned it.
Indeed.
It was good to see you again, Kabash.
Thank you, Oracle.
Scintilla!
Hello there.
Hi, Scintilla.
Oh, I go by Gabriella now. I didn't want to be reminded of that monster every time I heard my own name.
Which monster?
You didn't hear? My adoptive father, Sentius, locked me up in the upper cistern to stop me from escaping. After you drove Pluto off, Proserpina came and released me, and that monster got what was coming to him.
Sounds like he got what he deserved.
Mm-hmm.
What are you doing with yourself these days?
I'm living with Ulpius on a little vineyard in Umbria. It's even more wonderful than I dreamed it would be. I'm so grateful to you for making sure he's still with us. If you're ever passing through the region, I hope you'll come and visit us. You can try some of our very own wine.
I might just do that. It was good to see you again, Gabriella.
Thanks. You too.
Ulpius.
It's nice to finally put a face to the name. I'm Ulpius.
Good to see you too, Ulpius.
I understand I have you to thank for sending Galerius to save my life. The way you just showed up out of the blue and stopped me from making a terrible mistake, I'll be forever in your debt.
What are you doing with yourself these days?
I'm living with Gabriella in Umbria. We finally bought the little vineyard we always dreamed of. It'll be a little while before we know what we're doing, but every day I look at her and this extraordinary new world with all its beauty, and I think, what if I'd given up hope and missed out on all of this? So we're living each day to the fullest. And we end them all the same way, sitting together on our terrace with a glass of our wine, which the locals say is almost drinkable now, and watching the sunset over the rolling hillside. And I couldn't be happier.
I'm glad you're happy.
Thank you. I wouldn't be here without you.
It was good to see you, Ulpius.
You too.
Hey, 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 Rupius and Virgil.
Nice to meet you.
Good to see you too, Rufius.
I go by Rufus now. New start, new name. Oh, and thanks, by the way, for what you did. Sorry, I'm no good with the mushy stuff.
What are you doing with your... It turns out you were right. The statues really were watching us.
Huh. Good to know. Anyway, it was good practice for the new world. Security cameras and smartphones everywhere. Got to stay vigilant.
That is unfortunately true. What are you doing with yourself these days?
I live with Virgil in Rotterdam, not far from where he grew up. It's very modern. Destroyed in the war, and it rebuilt itself.
Good place for a fresh start. Haven't decided what I'm going to do with my life yet. One adjustment at a time.
It was good to see you again, Rufus.
You too. Look us up next time you're in the Netherlands. We're grateful.
Virgil!
It's so nice to finally meet you. I've heard so much about you.
Good to see you, Virgil.
I wanted to thank you personally for getting us out of there. And for helping Rufus come to terms with himself. He may come off a little gruff, but once you get past that, he's a lovely fellow.
What are you doing with yourself these days?
I'm studying to be an architect again, and living with Rufus in our beautiful flat in Rotterdam, just down the river from Nijmegen, where I grew up. Of course, it's improved immensely since I was there last. Gleaming futuristic buildings and clean streets full of educated, accepting people. You natives of the 21st century have no idea how fortunate you are.
It was good to see you again, Virgil.
You too, as Rufus said in his own laconic way. If you're ever in the Netherlands, we'd love to show you around. It's the least we could do.
I may just take you up on that. Can I go out the exit doors?
There you are. I hope you enjoyed that. Now, there's one more person I wanted to introduce you to. I think you know her.
Sorry if I frightened you. Just a little joke I've been saving for a long, long time.
I recognize that voice.
Allow me to introduce myself properly. I am Proserpina, former goddess of the cycle of life and renewal, and now a regular mortal. I wanted to meet you in person, and thank you for freeing all these people, and me. I hate to think what would have happened to us without your intervention.
You were whispering to me all along?
Indeed. Suffice it to say that while Pluto was controlling the eyes and ears of each golden statue, I was able to control their tongues, and whisper to you when he was distracted. I am sorry my messages were so cryptic. There were only ever brief windows in which I could speak to you without being detected.
You did what you could. Thank you. You created the time loop.
I did. I may have given up my immortality, but I still retain my gifts as the goddess of a cycle of life and renewal. After witnessing Pluto punish countless poor souls over thousands of years, I knew this generation, the final wave, would not survive. So I tried to give them a way to buy more time. A second chance. Rather, as many second chances as they needed to avoid his wrath. So I whispered to Sentius in secret, telling him the prayer required to create a portal in my shrine. I knew the danger of humans being corrupted by godly power, and so I put a safeguard in place. I required the creator of the portal to sacrifice their own life, so that it could only be used selflessly to help others. What I did not anticipate is that Sentius would retain his accumulated memories from each previous day, and as a veteran soldier he had long since shed his fear of death. He quickly discovered that he could, in effect, prolong his own life indefinitely by exploiting the cycle. Of course, once I had taught him the prayer, I could not unteach him, and there was little I could do but wait for someone like you to come along and see him for what he was. We are all fortunate you came along when you did.
Phone calls. What became of Pluto?
I don't know what happened to him. I haven't heard from him, and I rather hope it stays that way.
What became of Charon?
Oh, she inherited dominion over the underworld. Last time we spoke, she was working on
What?
a new world of some kind.
Sequel!
She wouldn't say what it was, but I'd be surprised if you don't run into her again. I imagine we all will, one day.
It was nice meeting you.
And you, although it feels like I've known you forever. Oh, and one last thing. Do you remember all those golden statues scattered throughout the city?
Of course.
Good, because they remember you. Well done, my friend. Of all the heroes who ever journeyed to the underworld and returned, none came close to achieving what you did. Hercules, Orpheus, Theseus, and Aeneas would be proud.
The canon ending. I still feel like there was more I could do with Navia, but I don't know how I would go about it. Anyway, that was the final canon ending of The Forgotten City, and I loved this game. The writing was phenomenal, the music is great, the atmosphere is incredible. The golden statues kinda lose their charm after the second or third loop, but it is what it is. Hopefully we get more games from this incredible team of developers, and I will see you with another game later this evening, maybe, or tomorrow. We shall see. Bye! I gotta, end stream.